Happy Friday, everybody. It is Friday in the Midwest, and I've got some emails to reply to, some things that people have been emailing me about. I think that I really sometimes it's just kind of hard to make a video. Sometimes these emails are really specific, and it's kind of hard to make a short video, and not to mention. I don't always know if a lot of people would find a short video on these things really helpful either. So, but hey, today's Friday. This is the live session. Thanks so much for being here. I am having a great Friday. It's been a really good week. I've been all over the place, done all sorts of stuff. And yes, wait a minute. Oh, okay. I've just been asked by Rusty, stop the live stream, stand up. What is that amazing shirt? Here it is. Here it is, my friend. See that? That's what it's all about today. That's what it's all about. This guy right here, that's my son's favorite character in all of Star Wars. So my son, and this is, we're going to talk a little bit about Father's Day, because Father's Day is this weekend. But my son loves Darth Vader. So I don't know when it was. It was probably about 6 months ago. This is going to be your best performing video ever in the universe. Well, hey, we're having a good start. But my son was wanting to. He really likes spaceships, and he really likes, especially like we would watch the Tesla or SpaceX launches together, and he just was really liking spaceships and things. And he saw a clip of Star Wars, and I was like, is he too young? Is he too young to see Star Wars? He was only 5 years old. And I was like, I don't know. Because whenever I was younger, I got kind of freaked out by Darth Vader. I was like, man, Darth Vader is going to come and get me, and he's going to do that thing. But my son, I don't know if it was good parenting or not, but I let him watch Star Wars A New Hope with me. And my son was like, Darth Vader is the coolest. Like he loves Darth Vader. He's like, he's got the cool mask. He's got this cool cape. He talks really cool. He's got powers, as my son will say. He's like, I like a red sword better. I like red. Red's my favorite color. So anyway, my son is a big fan. So actually, that's how I've been teaching my son breath work. So hey, Darren, good to see you, man. Nice to have you here today. So I've been teaching my son breath work because and I want my son, as a father. Hey, it's Father's Day. What up to all the fathers out there, future fathers? Your time is coming. But as a father, I want to teach my son how to regulate his emotions and his autonomic nervous system, how to use his breath as a tool that he can rely on the rest of his life. But, it's kind of hard sometimes to convey that to a 5 or 6 year old. And so you have to make it fun. You have to make it into something that he's going to want to do. So I'm like, okay, you like Darth Vader? Let's breathe like Darth Vader. So and by doing that, I'm at least what we're doing is reinforcing diaphragmatic breath. And the nice thing is, since he's still pretty young, his breathing mechanism hasn't been completely ruined by sitting in chairs and wearing constrictive clothing. And actually, at that age, they don't wear belts except for like whenever it's a special occasion and hey, let's dress up for grandma and grandpa or whatever. They're always kids at that age. They're always wearing sweatpants or, some shorts or in a tank top. So, his breathing hasn't really gotten, off kilter yet. However, man, kids, they love to do the, and I'm like, okay, don't just sit there and pant. We want to avoid your mouth breathing. So, I've been teaching him what we call the Darth Vader breath. So anyway, all right, we are going to be talking. We're going to be talking about some Wim Hof method today. We're going to be talking about I'll be answering some questions that I get, and I'll be answering your questions today in this live session. So if you have any questions, if there's anything you want me to talk about, just let me know. Throw it over there. Of course, the super chats are open. So if there's something you want to make sure that we for sure talk about today, you can always hit up the super chats and we'll do that for sure. You'll skip to the front of the line. But basically, I got an email not too long ago, and let's see here. I'm going to find it real quick. And it essentially is asking about cold training, and it's having to do with a sensation that this guy is feeling after getting out of his ice bath. And let's see here, where was it? Let's see. Rather than to find it, I remember what he was talking about, but let me see. Is this the one? No, it's not. Anyway. I'm going to read it. I know it's here. So where is it? Okay. Basically what is happening, and as I find it, I'll tell you what's happening, then I'll read it. Basically what's happening is this guy is getting out of his ice bath after pushing himself in the cold. It's not like he's not pushing himself. He's definitely pushing himself in the cold. And okay, here it is. Okay, so he says, "Hello, Jesse. Your videos have been very inspiring and helpful. Thank you. My friend." He says, "Just a question regarding cold showers." Okay, it's not ice bath. Well, I'm glad I found it. Hey, Moose Mans. Happy Friday. Nice to have you here, brother. So he says, I've been introduced to cold showers and Wim Hof method to my daily routine for the last 10 months. So 10 months deep, that's pretty good. I don't remember how long it was before I trained under Wim, but I think it was might have been a year before I'd been practicing for about 10 months. That's a pretty decent amount of time. He says, I notice, okay, so this is after he gets out of the ice bath. He says, okay, where is it? He says, I notice a sensation after I shower and sit to observe the body. Now, first of all, this guy, what is your name? Umar. I want to say, if you're watching, Umar, kudos. First of all, if you didn't catch why I'm saying kudos, let me read that again, okay? I notice a sensation after I shower and sit to observe the body. This is what time and time again, I keep, this is the thing that I see people not doing the most. No observation, no awareness. Just, hey, I'm going to get in the cold. I'm going to do a high five. I'm going to go to Arby's and get a roast beef sandwich or whatever. I don't know if that's a bit specific. It's not like everybody's definitely doing that. But what I'm saying is so often we do these things that are experiential, but we fail to actually take the time to observe the changes that happened due to the experience. What's up, Brandon and Paul? Hey, how's it going, guys? Happy Friday. We're talking about cold training. You guys might know something about that. So anyway, so Umar writes about that. And so he says, okay, I'm taking these cold showers, and okay, after I got done taking the cold showers, I'm sitting to observe my body. Okay, that step one, you're killing it. You're doing a great job so far, Umar. Okay, so next he says, I notice the sensation after I shower and sit to observe the body. It's like a cool feeling / sensation around the outer half, sometimes on side of my left pec, okay, pectoral muscle, and sometimes carries into my left arm. Let me read that again, because that's it can sound a little vague. I know what he's talking about. I'm hearing what you're putting down, Umar. It says it's like a cool feeling / sensation around the outer half, also sometimes on the side. That's a bit vague. I'm not 100% sure what you mean there. But then he says it's a cool sensation around my left pec and sometimes carries into my left arm. He says, I was experiencing this before too and might not have noticed, but I noticed it most of the times, and I am 20. Okay, this is when the English professor in me is like, dude, you gotta write these a little bit better. I'm not following some of the stuff that you're saying here. But it looks like he's 24 years old. He's had heart tests. His heart beats per minute is good. So his heart rate is good, but he's not sure what this is. Is it a heart-related thing? Okay, I think that's what he's trying to say. I'm pretty much getting what you're having to say, Umar. All right, so let's talk about this. So what happens, and this is me just kind of like interpreting what I just read. So it sounds like he's getting out of the cold shower. And some of you guys have felt this before, I'm sure you have. What's up, Marcus? Good to have you here, man. Okay, he gets out of the cold, and then he starts feeling a cold sensation around the outside of his body. And then he says it's around his left pec, okay? So his left pectoral muscle. And sometimes it goes down his arm. What do you think that is? We'll do a classroom discussion today. What do you think he's experiencing when he's experiencing a cold sensation in parts of his body, and like especially around his left pectoral and maybe down his arm? What do you think? Anybody want to make a guess? Heart attack? No. Let's well, and that's a good guess, right? It's on the left side of his body. That's where we keep our hearts. But you know that. Let's see. Is that a bookmarking or NG of the veins, powerhouse of the cell? Okay, so here's what it is. And this is at least my thoughts as far as I've experienced this many times. And when I say it, many of you guys who do ice baths regularly, you're gonna be like, oh well, yeah. It has to do with circulation, Darren. It's not necessarily bad circulation. So excellent. And Brandon's, you're on the right track here. Okay, so it is an opening. There's opening going on. So here's Umar. If you're listening, this is what's happening. So when you get out of a cold exposure, yeah, I do need to do cold training university, I guess. But hey, I got the cold training book, and I still need to do the update because I'm still planning on publishing my cold training book on paper and in audio book by this fall sometime. So right now I'm working on Breath Mastery University, the online course and stuff like that. Once that's more up and running, I'm going to get back to my cold training book. But okay, let's talk about what this is. If you've taken cold showers, that like serious cold showers, if you've taken ice baths, if you've ever really challenged the system with cold, and I don't know if that's what Umar's doing. I'm assuming he's been training for 10 months. He says sometimes this happens. I don't know where you live, Umar. I don't know how cold the water is or how long you're staying in there. So these are important variables, right? But I don't know any of those things. I'm just going based off of the sensations that you're describing. What this is most likely, this is whenever you're in the cold, one of the beauties of being in the cold is that on your skin, which is the largest organ of your body, right? Your skin is it's the largest organ of your body, the skin. There is an enormous amount of circulation that is all around your skin. And at the surface of your skin, you have capillaries. And when they are exposed to cold temperatures, they will close. There's smooth muscles on all of those capillaries. And whenever it's regular room temperature, they're kind of open. They're kind of, whenever it's hot, they'll open up more. Now, why would they do that, right? Why would they do that? Why would they open up more if it's hot and close whenever it's cold? Well, to preserve core body temperature. They're trying to vent body heat. Whenever you're hot, they're trying to open up so that as much body heat as possible can get out of your system. And whenever you're cold, they're trying to close and prevent the cold from getting into your system. They're literally closing up shop when you get into a cold shower. And this is one of the reasons why cold showers have been associated with improved circulation and better heart health for many people. Not everybody, but most people will say, okay, they've experienced some kind of a benefit if they had some kind of a deficiency. Not everybody. Many people do. But okay, so whenever you are in that cold experience, your capillaries close and they hold tiny little dots of blood at the surface of your skin. And you may know this, especially because when this happens, your skin gets red. Have you ever gotten out of a cold exposure and you have, I've even seen this when I ice bathe people who don't ice bathe regularly. Wherever the line was, where the ice bath was, that there's a line right there where the cold was. And that's where all those little capillaries, I'm not going to let that cold blood in. And so they're holding all that blood at the surface so that that blood doesn't go to the core, because you've got to protect your core. Your body intuitively understands without you even have to, you don't intellectually have to understand this, right? That's the beauty of the body. The body that you have is so genius. It says, I know that I need to protect the core body temperature, because if my core body temperature goes down by just 2 degrees Fahrenheit, that's not a lot. Just by like a couple degrees, I could go into hypothermia and die. That's how sensitive our internal organs are to extreme temperatures. But it's okay, because your body is absolutely capable of preserving that body heat for a great deal of amount of time, way more capable than we give it credit for. And so what's happening whenever he feels that is this. It's a few different possibilities. One, if he's stayed in a little longer than he should, he could be feeling some of that cold blood returning through the pump, right? The heart. Sometimes it will return through the pump and you'll actually feel that coldness as it circulates through your core. And it's not always a pleasant experience. And it can be the first signs of afterdrop. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to happen, though. Sometimes you'll feel that, and it's like, whoa, yeah, I can actually feel that cold blood starting to move again. Just like Brandon was saying, you're opening those blood vessels, and this is why it's not a good idea if you are doing cold exposures. If you're doing serious cold exposures, it's not a good idea to instantly go into a sauna, a steam room, a hot tub. If you've gotten into an ice bath, generally, unless you're, there's certain kinds of practices that where I'll go back and forth. Super hot, super cold, super hot, super cold, super hot, super cold, whatever. And those are fun days, but they're exhausting. But anyway, typically we want to let the body warm itself. And that's why you don't take a cold shower and then a hot shower. Now, I don't know. Darren didn't really tell me if he is doing that, but yeah, that's it. What's up, Jim? Nice to have you here, man. Let's see here. Yeah, a cold training university is a kind of a cool idea. We could what I should do is like get my team and we'll do like an online live course, and every week we go deeper. I don't know. Maybe we'll do something like that. This might have been birthed on this live stream. But anyway, that is probably what's happening to Umar here. It's most likely, if you feel, and sometimes people will feel this immediately after getting out of a cold exposure. Sometimes it takes a while before they feel it. Most of the time you'll feel it if you've stayed in a little longer than you should have. Because as many of you guys are probably thinking to yourself, I've never experienced that. I've never felt like it'll feel sort of like little streams of coldness that goes through you. And I've had it happen lots of times. And that's typically what it is. It's that super cooled, it's not super, super cool, but it's cooled down blood that's having to recirculate through your core just because it has to. Eventually, you have to recirculate that blood. It does have to move. And that's generally what that is. And that's what you're feeling there, Umar. So thank you so much for that email, Umar. That is most likely what you're feeling. Let's see here. Your heart rate, I think the reason why he was a little concerned and he gave me a little information about his heart rate is because that's the left side. We don't want to have a heart attack. And that was a good, Darren had a good point. If it's over there, man, it could be the cardiac thing. But in this case, when it comes to doing cold exposure and feeling the coolness, that's a lot of times what it is. So great question. Okay, Ethan Johnson. Let's see here. Craziest breathwork session you've witnessed. Oh my gosh. Oh, dude. So, so I've witnessed a lot of crazy breathwork sessions, and this is why I think it's very important to be safe and very important to be responsible as a breath worker with altered state breath work. And if you've been a fan of this channel, if you've heard me talk for a while, if you've read my book, you know that I love altered state breath work. Is something that you can have profound experiences. You can have a reconnection to yourself that is just unexplainable. There's evidence that you can produce endogenous DMT, and I got to say, I've had some amazing experiences of myself when I am doing breath work, and everything from time and space no longer mean anything. I feel a oneness with the universe. I feel like I'm surrounded by angels singing. I've had amazing experiences practicing these things, and there's wonderful aspects and benefits that come from altered state. But having said that, I've also been a part of, and I've been a guide for hundreds and hundreds of people during altered state breathwork sessions, where myself and other breath workers will guide people through altered state breath. And so I've seen people have crazy convulsions and speaking in tongues, screaming at the top of their lungs, just really having these crazy. And if you didn't know what's going on, if you just walked in out of the street, if someone took a video and said, "Hey, look what's happening here," you would think, "Oh my God, what's happening? This is like some kind of exorcism going on." And what happens is sometimes during these sessions, it can be very, very intense, and it can really be important. That's why it's very important that if you do altered state breath work, I'm not a big fan of doing intense altered state breath work online. And I know that there's other YouTube channels out there that will do altered state breath work online. And I know that there are websites that will give you guided altered state breath work online. And hey, I'm not judging or anything like that. I'm just saying that I'm not comfortable doing stuff like that in a heavy extreme way unless I'm actually with the person physically, or maybe at least there is a sitter with that person, at least that I can trust to be there to help calm the person down if they start to have some kind of a reaction. Now, these reactions are generally harmless, but it can put a person into a very uncalm state, and it can be something that is quite unpleasant if you're not careful. And so that's why I don't do that. But oh man, I don't even know. Ethan, to the answer to your question, I'm not even sure which one was the craziest. Now, there is a crazy Dutchman that we all know, and I've been a part of many of his sessions and helping to guide. I've been a sitter. I've been like in charge of a certain area, and those get kind of crazy, especially when we do power breathing. In Poland, for instance, was just out of this world. But ultimately, as long as everyone's responsible, as long as you have knowledgeable sitters, knowledgeable breath workers leading you through, you get to the other side, and it's just an amazing experience that helps people from all around the world. But just like anything, it's powerful medicine that you need to respect. And that's the thing that sadly enough, I don't always see on the internet. I see a lot of people wanting to just get high or to just have these experiences, completely neglecting the fact that we are tapping into elements of our psychology and our nervous system that that we don't normally have access to. So anyway, all right. So that is to answer your question, Ethan. That's kind of, I guess that's maybe. I mean, we're talking like it can get crazy. It can get. Have you? And recently, see, I never got to read James Nestor's book, Breath. I didn't get to read it. I'm just now reading it. Whenever he came out with his book, I was writing my book, so I just didn't have a chance to read it when it came out. So, but actually, a client of mine bought me the book and as a gift, so I'm reading it. And he was talking about whenever he saw his first holotropic breath. His holotropic breathwork session, and I would, if you've read that chapter, if you haven't read the book, read that chapter, and I would say he's very accurate with his description. So yeah, Darren, if you're reading that book yourself, when you get to the part where he talks about his holotropic breathwork, there is some of it that's some people just, I don't know. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to get too on this topic, but yeah, that I think he describes his experiences. It's kind of indicative of a lot of people's experiences. All right, great question, Kinger Gang. I want to bath cold. I want to bathe cold, but my bathtub is too small. I hear you there, my friend. That was the first problem that I ran into when I started to try to do ice bathing in a bathtub. And I always tell people this, and bathtubs are not terrible whenever you're first starting off, but you'll need to graduate from a bathtub relatively soon unless you have a very large bathtub. And the reason why that is because if you're a man or a woman of any significant size and girth, like myself, your skin will be 100% touching the bathtub, like the bottom, right? You're not actually getting skin to cold water. You're getting skin to bathtub and then maybe some cold water on top of you. And so like, it's not, you want even exposure all around your body. Let's see what else he says. Only my legs would fit. Yeah. Or you're just sitting up and yeah, you're just getting your legs cold. Is there a difference when not the whole body is in the cold water? Guess so, but I wanted to ask. Yeah, that's a great question. You want your entire body up to the neck for the maximum benefits. Now, there are some benefits to cold exposure that are just, I mean, there are benefits to if you have inflammation in your legs that you want to reduce, you can just ice your legs and that's fine. But for the full benefits of cold exposure, you want full body immersion. And for more about that, you can take a look at my ebook on my website, jessecoomer.com. Just go to my books and I go over that a lot more in detail, the benefits that you'll get when you do it that way. Rusty says, I can say as a spectator of Altered State, it sounds like what I witnessed was a mirror. But just the feeling you get in the room was really bizarre if you've never experienced something like that. Feels like the room went to a different place. It does. Altered State, man, it's amazing. It's a portal to a part of ourselves that we don't normally have access to. And it's this amazing, beautiful thing. And that's why, sadly in the West, we have a habit of taking things that are amazing and beautiful and then turning them into Snickers bars and Coca-Cola cans and Frito-Lays. Or whatever, turning them into Marlboro Lights, as opposed to the things that they're initially, if you look at the way they should be used, it's these things that are somewhat, I mean, we should treat them with respect as opposed to try to mass produce them and make it into some kind of a gimmick. And so it's something that that's why you'll see on my channel, I'll cover a lot of things. And you'll see in, like, for instance, my Patreon members, there are some sessions in my Patreon club that I would call micro doses of altered state breath work. So there are micro doses of altered state breath work in my Patreon club. If you've not heard of my Patreon club, it is basically every month I add new guided breathwork sessions, all sorts of different styles, all sorts of different techniques. And And so some of them occasionally are altered state. Actually, this month, guys, I got a little enthusiastic. These are both, I think both of the new sessions are microdoses of altered state, as I recall. I uploaded them. It's been a little over a week ago. But as I recall, Child's Dream, if you've done that one is microdose altered state. So enjoy. So let's see here. Lovely jubbly. I'm learning. See, I get to learn all these different phrases. That's the beautiful thing about getting to know people from around the world. It's just I've not heard that before, but that's the second time Darren has given me access to whatever that I assume it, and he says it's a good thing. So do you cry sometimes after breath work? Josh, good question. Sometimes, depending on the style of breath work that a person will do, sometimes you'll notice you'll have a person have a emotional breakthrough. And sometimes it comes in the form of crying. Sometimes it comes in the form of laughter. Sometimes it doesn't manifest itself like that. Sometimes it manifests itself in some other way. But I would say in almost every major workshop, whether it's Wim Hof method or my practical breathwork sessions or my tactical breath sessions that I do for first responders, like all the first responders, the fire, police, and ambulance, paramedics. I do some group workshops specifically for them. Even in those cases, you'll see people who have those types of releases, and it's a good thing. It's a wonderful thing. And you'll notice that a lot of times a person says, I don't know why I'm crying, but I absolutely feel better. And better is better, my friends. That is the chorus that you're going to hear me repeat if you've been on this channel for a while. Better is better. So yeah, it happens. And it's a beautiful, wonderful thing that doesn't always happen. I myself don't normally get the crying or the laughing. Normally I'll get these sensations that are hard to describe with words. It's a lot of times it'll be almost like a memory of an emotion. And again, it's impossible to really describe it with words, but it's like a memory of an emotion that maybe I have felt somewhere, sometime. And generally it's a positive, it's a wonderful thing. So yeah, so that's thanks for that question, Josh. Let's see here. I gave all that up and started breathing properly. Yeah, Darren's breathing properly. That's what I'm talking about. Patrick's a straight edge breather. There is nothing wrong with getting high on your own supply, my friends, but there's so much more to breath work than just, hey, I'm going to go, get high. And then that's all it's all about. It goes so deep. It goes so deep. Moose Mans, I love the Patreon sessions. Awesome. Jesse has so many different sessions there. Yeah, dude. And really, Moose Mans, that's a good point. This all started. So my Patreon club started when COVID hit in 2020, and all of my events had to be canceled. I had to cancel. I had like 6 events that were pretty big events that I had to cancel. And I was like, okay, how am I going to reach people and do breath work? And, how am I going to still have income? And how's all this going to work? And so my wife said, a lot of people do Patreon, maybe want to check into it. So I looked into it and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. And I was like, I want to make it so that it's accessible, so that pretty much any schmuck, I don't know why I said schmuck, but any schmuck, any person out there can afford it relatively cheaply. And so for only $5, you can join the Patreon club. It's just $5 a month. So, and then if you buy an entire year subscription, you get a 10% discount on that too, I think. So, I mean, there's different tiers. One of the tiers, if you join, you get a 1-hour session with me every month. So we get a one-on-one every month in addition to everything else that you get with the Patreon club. But yeah, so it started with that, and I started really ambitious. I was like, I'm going to put a bunch of stuff on here, and I've continued on that pace now, and it's been over a year since I've had the Patreon club. Big thanks, first of all, big thanks to everybody who joined, especially during the first year, whenever it was a new thing. If you've joined recently, welcome. But now there's a huge database of guided breath work on my Patreon page. I mean, we're talking, I guarantee you there's like there's got to be around 50 guided breathwork sessions. And it's not all one style, because I'm a breath worker. I'm not just going to do one style. All of it is, there's mixed techniques style. I call it the Midwestern method style or Midwestern style, but it's basically how I have come to look at breathwork sessions. And it's essentially that when you mix techniques and you know what you're doing, you can paint like a portrait. It's like you're an artist with someone's autonomic nervous system, and you can put a person into like this ideal state. So and I mix it with music, and there are instructions as on the screen as you go along. And actually, I have examples on my YouTube of some of the sessions. Some of the longer sessions are on my YouTube, just to kind of give people an idea what it's in there. But then also every month we get together for a live session on Zoom. So you have a Zoom, you get to see the other people in the tribe, and we have a cool get together that way. So it's grown, man. It has really grown over the past year and a half, I guess. Well, it's a little less than a year and a half, I suppose, but it's really grown. We're over 200 members strong, and it fluctuates. People come in and out, but it's one of those things where you start seeing the same names, and you start seeing, hey, I know if it's this guy or that guy or this girl, it's going to be a joke, good sense of humor, or this person tends to like this style the most. And I always get a request from this one person who always likes, hey, give me something to help me with this. And it's really it's a really cool community, and it's super cheap to join. And I keep forgetting, I've got to remember this, but I keep forgetting to do the merch drop. We keep on talking about it. Here it is in June. I think I started talking about this in April. So I've got to eventually get on that. But right now I'm so busy with Breath Mastery University and all the things that are going on with that I just haven't had time. Anyway, but hey, great comment. Thanks so much for that. You know what? Brandon makes a really good point. The craziest breath work I've ever seen is the weight loss breath. Have you guys seen that on my channel? It's this woman who does a. Have you guys seen it? If you haven't seen that video, it's worth watching. I couldn't believe it. I actually watched multiple videos of hers after I did that video. And my mother-in-law did that. And the idea was that you could, and it was this thing where it's like, you don't have to change your diet or exercise or anything like that, simply by doing this one technique. And simply by doing that one breathing technique, you were going to lose inches off of your waistline and off your hip line and all this stuff. It was the worst garbage I have ever seen. And it plays on people's ignorance, and in the worst kind of way, because people want something to give them the edge, right? We all want to have something that is the easy way to lose weight, or some kind of a secret. Man, everybody's doing this thing, but I found the secret over here. And the secret is to do that. And then it's going to somehow make, and they had this like infomercial type thing where it was like, you know what burns? Natural gas. You know what's another gas that burns? Oxygen. Therefore, you want to burn fat, you need to breathe, and then boom, you're going to lose a bunch of weight. And maybe they said it differently, but that was essentially the line of logic. And yes, it is true. Okay, for those of you guys who know this, right? When you lose weight, right? When you actually lose weight, like burn fat, it exits your body. 80% of that weight loss happened through your lungs. So that is true, but it's nothing like what she was trying to claim. And she said that if you want to, that in the dictionary, the definition of aerobic is having oxygen. So therefore, if you have oxygen, you become aerobic. And it's like, well, yeah, okay, but that's not what they're talking about. So aerobic does mean with oxygen, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing aerobic exercise. Like aerobic exercise is working through a different pathway. That's when they're talking about the pathway of energy, as opposed to the fact that you have oxygen. Like all of us have oxygen in us already. Yes, Darren, the fart breath would be awesome. You fart breathing. But anyway, so it was just ridiculous. But but yeah, when you lose weight, if you do choose to lose weight and you're burning fat, 80% of that is exhaled as carbon dioxide through your lungs. And so you can actually measure the mass that's leaving your body, and you exhale that. That is true. The other 20% goes out through sweat, urine, things like that. But that is true. But that's not what she was trying to argue, and so it was ridiculous. Thank you for bringing that up, Brandon. And thank you, Darren. Thank you. It opens your emotional plane into the mind. Thank you so much. Paul, thank you. I love the Patreon. And thank you, Brandon, for that too. Yeah. Waiting for the 10-hour breathwork session, Rusty says. Well, okay. So I don't know if we're going to do a 10-hour breathwork session in the Patreon club. You know how long it takes me to make I have some in there that are 45 minutes. And when you think about this, like, it doesn't just take 45 minutes to do a complete recording of a breathwork session. There's always somebody's going to walk in the door. My dog's going to fart, so there's going to be something that is like, now I have to do the whole thing over again. Sometimes I get lucky and I set the music, I set up all the visuals, and then I just do the voiceover and I somehow get it all in one take. But most of the time, there's something that always comes up, and a 45-minute session for you turns out to be 3 hours of work for me, or 4 sometimes. And so, yeah, a 10-hour, I can only imagine that'd be like a week of recording. Greetings, Proly. Lord Proly, how's it going, man? Oh, man. Let's see here. That video is so funny if you haven't seen it. Yeah, thank you, man. Definitely. Nordic walking seems pretty efficient. Now, Proly, I'm not sure what Nordic walking is like. I'm gonna have to look that up. In grad school, I started weight training in grad school, and I was my nickname was Nordic Thunder. I have no idea really why that was, other than the fact that I think we just all thought it was funny to call me Nordic Thunder. But I'm like, yeah, or no, it's Nordic Mountain. Nordic Mountain. I was like, that sounds like an awesome wrestler name or something like that. So maybe I'll try Nordic walking. I guess I could just put the 1 hour session on repeat. That is true, Brandon. We could just do a 1 hour session and then put it on repeat for a whole 10 hours. Nordic walking looks like skiing. Okay. So it's sort of like a cross country skiing type of a thing. Is that what I'm picking up from you guys, Moose Bands? So that sounds, yeah, that's definitely, if it's cross country skiing, right? It's not the kind of skiing that you do down the hill. It's the kind of skiing that you literally, man, yeah, that's heavy duty. That's hardcore. You're definitely going to go through some burning of calories pretty fast when you do that. See you all again. Darren says, got to go England versus Scotland. Great stream. Well, thank you, my friend. And may your team win. Oh, thank you there, Moose Fans. All right, guys. Okay. So having said that, guys, it is Friday. And I'm just really happy to be here and that you guys are here. And we've just had a great weekend. We have a great stream. I want to wish everybody, all of you fathers out there, a happy Father's Day. And it's such an important job, and it's something that, you know, a lot of times as a father, you don't feel like you get thanked enough or appreciated, or, you know, it's sometimes like that. Other times you get a big hug and it's all worthwhile. But, you know, I think being a parent is one of these things that, you know, human beings need parenting. We really do need a full, you know, many years of guidance to develop into people and to develop, and we need those role models. And so I want to say happy Father's Day to all my fellow fathers out there, to anybody who is a father to be, or to my young men out there who someday will become a father. It's very much a worthwhile thing. It's something that, if you think about it, the problems of the world that exist today will probably outlive you, right? There's always going to be problems, even, and new problems exist. And no matter what we do in life, there's only so much that we can do. But guess what? If you really train your children, and you really give them the love and the care that they need, you know, you're not just helping that child, you're helping the whole world. You're helping that child's future relationships, the people that they're going to have relationships. You're doing something kind to those people that you may never meet. Hopefully you do. I mean, I assume I'm going to meet my son's, spouse. I'm going to live to see my grandkids, but you're also helping your grandkids by being a parent. So anyway, I just want to say happy Father's Day from the bottom of my heart. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next week, 2:00, same time, same place. Go out there and be kind to one another. Happy Father's Day. I'll see you next week.